Welcome back everyone. It has been far too long. On this edition of Hindsight Miscellanea, we will be reading excerpts from Play US Magazine, dated January 2009, Volume 8, Issue 1, pages 30 to 39, a feature article entitled Ride to Hell, No Easy Rider Here. Reach well away from the ocean up into the sprawl of Nevada and Yosemite, and you'll discover a land and way of life that legends are made of. Hippies, bikers, truckers, one small town after another, waiting for the latest story from the latest traveler. In Ride to Hell, that traveler is you, Ray, a Vietnam vet who has just returned from the war. At the beginning of the story, everything is unnecessarily complicated from your perspective. The world has seemingly changed when you were gone, but now you're being offered the simpler solution. Ray begins this open world journey looking for a way to connect and strip away the burden of his past. He finds the seeds to that new growth in a small biker gang called the Devil's Hand, who welcome him as one of their own. He's the new guy on the block, and that's where the game essentially begins. You, your motorcycle, and the opportunity to discover the West Coast while raising your street cred and forming a capable gang of your own. When we came up with the basic idea, it was Hell's Angels. It naturally led to the 60s era, and then we thought, okay, we want to convey freedom and the action you see in a 60s movie, explains executive producer Hans Seifert. This is a sandbox game, so naturally you've got the GTA branding to contend with, which these ex-rockstar guys working out of Vienna, Austria were naturally sensitive to. We worked on GTAs. If we do an open world game, people are just gonna say we ripped it off. We thought about doing a more structured level game, Mother Truckers, something like that. Maybe a third-person action game. The levels became bigger, and the more we thought about it, shouldn't we have a road map? And then it just made sense that it had to be where we are now. This huge open world. How else can we convey freedom? Really, there was no compromise. It had to be a world game. I really think in the future you'll have to find a really good reason why you do not do open world games. It's just a natural thing. You see something over there and you want to go try it out. Zelda comes up in the conversation as a reference to one of the original sandbox games of sorts. Link's adventures are obvious inspirations for the Ride to Hell team. Their demoing room tour is labeled Hyrule, but in ways that aren't necessarily on the surface. Zelda is a game so rich in mood and spirit, which are qualities that crackle in Ride to Hell. And driving through the desert, those empty landscapes, more or less alone at times. We wanted to capture this massive world size in a number of areas, says producer Marin Ghazari. That was always one of the goals, playing tricks with lighting, tracking the rising and setting sun, emphasizing different angles of lighting. We are really happy how it's turned out. And we're not even close to being finished. If you get high enough in the mountain regions, clouds will surround you on your ride, perhaps opening up for a rainstorm as the dynamic weather system plays out. Most of Ride to Hell takes place in the expanse of the West Coast outdoors. The important emphasis on dramatic lighting comes up in conversation after conversation. Our compromise for this game was to try and reach as high a level of detail as possible, but we had to keep as much of the engine as procedural as possible, begins Seifert. That was a highest priority. So the lighting, the time of day, you can come at night, it's dark, you can see the light pouring through the windows in the houses. The level of detail isn't like a first-person shooter. But we have thousands of objects, thousands of houses. Everything is lit in real time. We wanted to have a look of consistency. The hills will have different varieties and colors and shapes representing the different areas of the world. I think we have around 9 different types of foliage. The setting in Ride to Hell is a character, and so is your cherished ride. You begin the game with a modest bike, but as you earn and discover parts, you can basically build the hog of your dreams. The idea was, if you see a certain type of chopper on the street, then with the 1960s parts, of course, you can create that bike in the game, explains Yazari. Part of the gameplay thrust is growing Ray as respected entity in the Devil's Hand and creating aggressive reputation wherever he goes. Respect is the game's currency. You can recruit others to join up, helping your cause. Details are being kept under wraps for now, but there will be a system built into Ride to Hell that tracks your actions as the story unfolds. And we're really proud of the story we're coming up with, says Gazari. It's a story we really think captures all those great biker movies, a Sonny Badger biography, Hunter S. Thompson Easy Rider. Ride to Hell is set up as a 3-act structure. The game begins on a more light-hearted tone, in a tiny town called Dead End. The first act is more about the sun, fun, partying, the 60s feelings, explains Seifert. Then the third act is about revenge, stuff like that. We have quite the story arc. The tone really shifts. Along for the ride to drive the mood is, of course, the music of the times, with over 300 licensed tracks, including the absolute necessity, Born to be Wild. As the story pushes forward, the music will reflect the plot, and you'll have specific songs that fit the place you might be visiting. Go into a trucker bar, you'll hear country. Go to the hippie community, you'll hear pop, explains Seifert. When you go to the biker bars, you'll hear more rock songs. The thing about the radio station is that it's dynamic, it's not pre-recorded. Every mission has radio lines, so the news announcers will tell you, oh, there's going to be this big rock concert going down. This is the concert you actually will go to. As you would expect, in a game of this nature, there are main objectives and less important ones, like going out to the desert to kill a rattlesnake for a medicine man or searching for mushrooms. Eat the wrong ones, and the screen drips with trippy colors. To hand to the cook in a local diner. Most places start out neutral, and it's up to you to build favor and create a friendly environment. Gas stations are important to fill up the tank, diners and bars give you food and health, and you never know when you may benefit from a safe haven if a rival gang is out for your ass. The game gets progressively more intense as the gang wars heat up, introducing a gun later on to complement what is essentially a melee combat system. Punch, kick, grab, combo. They are keeping it simple but dynamic, as you would expect. It's not about being violent, shooting someone's head off. It's all about grabbing someone, throwing them over a counter into a stack of tires, says Seifert. In Malibu, you'll come across a porn producer named the Flying Dutchman, who gifts you a Polaroid camera and introduces you to the sex minigame. From here, you'll head north, take a picture of your lady friend, do whatever you choose in the moment. At night, you can snap a shooting star for a special achievement. The camera will come in extremely handy when it's time to take down a town sheriff and snap him with a prostitute. The traffic has to react to you in many ways. The people in the cars don't really like you. They honk, give you looks. Police really keep the bikers in check, drive behind them, get on their news. You see, the guys riding around you, behind you, you hear all the different engine sounds. You really feel like you aren't alone in the world. You've got this gang with you, even if it's just a few people at first. You're going somewhere. You're about to raise hell. That's just the experience of it all. Yeah, a somewhat nasty reputation is inevitable when you're beating the crap out of people, whether on foot or bike. On foot you've got bats, tire irons, chains, wrenches, plenty of good bludgeoning instruments. On the bike or in car or any sort of vehicle you want to commandeer. You can confront anyone you want at any time, consequence or not. Road rage comes into play. I went to prison because of a misunderstanding. The bikers, we just want to have fun. We got the bikes, we got the girls, we've got the open road, the places we want to get to, and anyone who is against it isn't really on our side. And that's not much of a problem. In part of the 60s culture, things would be even simpler if the man wasn't against it. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Hindsight Miscellanea. I bid you good day and good night.